But she couldn't deny that there was a certain kind of resilience learned from going on that journey. And so she took her steps back home. And as she walked and she saw the man, so she started calling him in her mind, the man, in the orchard, and she saw that the mistletoe was actually kind of dripping from the trees. And she looked at him and she remembered how when they first met she thought he had feet like a bear, how he was sort of a bit of a bear. And she thought about what she had to offer and how she could be patient with him. And so she went to the orchard. She was quite bold, but she didn't get close to him. She didn't look at him, didn't give him any eye contact or anything. And she got about 3 or 4 trees away, and she sat with her back against the tree, and it helped. And she felt the boughs and the roots cradling her, and she remembered when she was scared, when she was little, that her mum would tell her stories. And she tried to remember the stories. There were just snatches of them. You know, there was that one about the wizard who lost his trousers. And yeah, there was that one about the unicorn that goes in and out of the realms with its horn. And it got darker as she was thinking, and she looked up and the moon was nice and full, so there was lots of light. And then she remembered her mum telling her this story about the nosy moon, because the moon liked to know what was going on with everything. And she wondered if the moon was looking down now at her sitting by the tree and him there, quiet and still. And the moon, you see, looked down one night so curiously upon everybody that it just fell splat down onto the ground. And as it fell down, it was such a splat because it was in Somerset and it was very wet. The mud just kind of like covered over the big moon, and the moon was like heaving up, heaving up, and just for 1 second just kind of heaved up, almost back up into the sky, and then flopped back down again. And it just happened to be, so her mum said, but probably not, but so her mum said it just happened to be when she was lost along the levels, and there was just enough light for her to just scurry home. And the night she didn't really think anything of it. There was a big bright light. That was it. But the night after night, the moon didn't come out. And they'd sure, but they didn't look at the moon so carefully, but they were sure it was supposed to come out. It wasn't a dark moon, and they waited and they waited. And eventually they had a meeting in the local pub, and they were like, what's going on with the moon? And she was like, oh, do you know what? There's this big light, and it was on the levels, and we saw. And they were like, why didn't you say something? She was like, oh, you know, no one's talking to that guy that says he's seen aliens now, so I kept it to myself. And they were like, okay, no, this is Glastonbury. We're gonna listen to you. So they all went out on the levels together with their torches, and she was like, I think it was here. No, I mean, it does all look the same, the levels actually. It's quite hard, but eventually she was like, here it is, it's here. And so the woman, she started telling this story, and as she told the story, she began to name the people from the village. Just call them out as if she were calling them there. Just call them out as if she were reminding him of the people that loved him. So she called out all the names as they came, and she said, and they circled the moon, and they circled the moon until all together they were there standing there, and they were like, heave, hoo, heave, hoo, heave, hoo. And then up the moon went. And as the moon filled the sky with its light again, So the sea began to roll again. So the ocean began its tidal journey. And she called to him as I'm calling to you, and she said, and you know, those waves, they go in and out. So when they go in, what are you bringing towards you? And when they roll out, what are you letting go of? He didn't say anything. But she felt like he was listening. She felt like she was making the sounds of the waves that he was breathing in time. She felt his vulnerability, his powerlessness. And it reminded her of the story of Samson and Delilah, of how when Delilah had found out how Samson got his power, she had betrayed him. She'd given him away. And she understood in that moment how he felt. She looked at him and she thought he looked like a little boy. And she didn't know him when he was little boy. She remembered a song that her mum used to sing. Vila baby nana, wem shem kwa. Glosasa kabela, wem shem kwam, pila baby nana, wem shem kwam, glosasa kabela, wem shem kwam. Oh, and she thought, what kind of story might a little boy enjoy? And there in front of her, in her hand, she suddenly saw some beans, and she knew the story.